We talked about power of the media and these strategies they have, like framing, agenda setting, and priming, that they can use to tell us how to think about issues and how to feel about them and how to use them to evaluate our politicians. But politicians have their own strategies. They can spin a message, use their own frames, right? The media has the power to frame, but so do politicians. They can also use the media to sort of float policies to say, hey, I kind of want to do this thing, but I don't know how the public's going to react. So they can use the media and say, hey, I'll leak you this story that we might be doing something, but it has to be attributed to an anonymous source. You can't just like attribute it to me. So it lets them test the waters. A leak can be used to release strategic information that's important, but maybe they don't want linked back to them. They might leak something negative against something else. They don't want to be the bad guy who's, you know, being like a tattletale, a snitch, but maybe they want that information out there because it'll help them if this other person gets brought down. Or maybe they want to inoculate themselves, right? A politician who knows something bad's about to come out about them might leak some unfavorable information early to sort of maybe let it trickle out a bit instead of going all at once. Or maybe try to leak it, but framed or spun in a way that looks a little bit better for them or a little bit less bad, maybe. So maybe they can minimize future damage. Now, these tools are more powerful when it comes to foreign relations than when it comes to domestic affairs. And scholar and political scientist Robert Entman talks about this specifically with his theory of cascading activation of frames that says that the president sort of has first shot at framing international relations messages, which makes sense, right? We know that the president is our figurehead for international relations. And as a unitary executive, he doesn't have to get other people on board with how he's pitching a story, right? So that does make a lot of sense. The president sort of gets first shot at this. Then Congress, if they go along with him and adopt that frame, by the time it gets to the media, by the time other elites and then the news media get to it, that frame that the president used is probably going to be pretty strong. It's probably going to be how the news media reports it. They're going to just use that same frame. It can often be really hard for the media to even challenge those frames, especially in international affairs where the media really may not know what's going on abroad, right? The media reporting on the president are, domestic reporters. They report on the presidency, so they have to report on everything he does. So they're going to be here, not the site of whatever foreign event is being framed. And this can give the president a lot of power to shape how the public perceives international affairs. And because the president is most fundamentally entwined with international affairs compared to Congress or the court, this can really give the president a lot of power, especially in times when we might be predisposed to rally around the flag. Remember that from Unit 2, the rally around the flag effect? We might want to support the president when we are in some sort of foreign conflict. So we might want to rally around him, especially if he's telling us this foreign conflict is something that's really important for us to be involved in, right? And if the media is not challenging that, it can help the president get a lot of support. Now, that's not to say the media can never challenge it. Certainly they can, and they have. But it means that the president and other politicians in other ways do have a lot of power over stories too. So again, as I've said before, the news is ultimately not an objective set of facts, but a specific way of looking at a story. And often this way is created collaboratively between politicians and reporters. Even if they aren't cooperating, ultimately what gets to us is some sort of collaboration between the two groups, politicians and reporters.